Man, I had a lot of harsh things to say about this story when I initially talked about it. And I still stand on everything that I said with this story. And I felt like the woman that you guys see on my screen should have been charged criminally because of the negligence. If you go back and watch my original video on this little boy, beautiful baby boy, and it's just broke my heart. Beautiful little baby boy, Izzy Scott, in my opinion, died because of negligence. He was neglected. And for a while there, we were looking at this story like, are they going to take are the police and investigators going to take this seriously? Are they going to charge this lady? And they weren't thinking about charging her at all at first, but now we actually have an update. So let's talk about this. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. So let's talk about this. I had a lot of things to say about this story. Now, here's where I want to make the difference between what you guys heard from other YouTubers compared to what you'll hear from me. A lot of other content creators, YouTubers, when they talked about this story, they brought up the dichotomy of race. And they said this was a racist situation where this white lady who was a swim instructor neglected a black child, and that's why this child is dead, because he was black. And I said that in my previous video. Go back and watch it. You can quote my words. I said that is not the case, and that is stupid for anybody to even say that. Matter of fact, I think it's flat out irresponsible for us to continue to cry wolf when you're talking about race, prejudice, bigotism, or even racism. That's just flat out dumb. This ain't the time or the moment to do that. But what you do have is you have an adult swim instructor who neglected a child, which ended up resulting in the death of this child, and that person should be held accountable for ignoring this child. They should know better. They're an adult. They're a swim instructor. These are things they should be aware of. And if they're overworked, then they shouldn't have that many kids in their class, which means that they were probably trying to do this as a money motivation. Hashtag babies for benefits. You might have taken on more kids because you made more money. I don't know that for a fact. But what else would be the motivation to take on more kids than what you can properly supervise? That was my stance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys the update from people.com, which is where I'm getting this article from. So the update is a Georgia swim instructor who was providing lessons in a backyard pool has been charged in connection with the drowning death of a child, according to authorities. Augusta Judicial Circuit District Attorney Jared Williams, these big titles, announced in a December 30th press release that he instructed the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to issue an arrest warrant for the swim instructor by the name of Currington-Tenhusen. That lady. Currington-Tenhusen on a misdemeanor charge of involuntary manslaughter. And if that's not how you pronounce her name, then it is what it is. That's the best I can pronounce it. Izzy Scott is the little boy's name, is not a case. He is not a file on a disk, nor an article in the news. He is a child whose loss has broken the heart of our community. He is a symbol of how we should cherish our little ones and hold them tight, Williams said. And I like the way that they said that. We need to put children and advocate for children first. I love that they said that. This decision comes after months of dedicated inquiry, investigation, and legal analysis, he noted. Initially, the Burke County Sheriff's Office, which is what I want to tell you guys about, initially the Sheriff's Office declined to pursue criminal charges in the June 14th of 2022 incident that left the 4-year-old Israel Izzy Scott dead. Israel is one of 10 children attending lessons being provided by Tenhusen that day in a home in Hep, Hepzibah, Hepzibah. They always give me some weird names I can't pronounce properly. Make me look stupid. According to a police report obtained by People, she told police that she allowed the kids to take a lap across the pool in the shallow end, even encouraging them to pull their heads underwater as much as they could, the document states. Israel somehow ended up in the deep end just as the lesson was coming to close, police said in a report. Tenhusen and the other students had already gotten out of the pool by that point. She told police she didn't notice that the boy was missing until her granddaughter, who was about to pull out the pool vacuum, noticed his limp body at the bottom of the pool. Tenhusen immediately jumped back in the pool and pulled the boy out. Along with a parent who also happened to be a registered nurse, administered CPR on the unconscious boy. Police said that the parent was there waiting for her child's lessons to begin. So here's the thing. I don't know if they say this in here. I'm going to probably keep reading. But the parents were instructed to wait in the car or wait outside. They were not allowed to be there while these instructions were going on, just so you guys know. That was what they were told. Otherwise, the parents would have been there, which I would have think that would have made more sense. More eyes, the better. Deputies and EMS workers arrived at the scene and continued CPR until they established a pulse, but the boy was not breathing on his own. Israel was taken by ambulance to a local hospital where he later died. The boy's mom, Dory Scott, was waiting outside in her vehicle when she was notified about what had happened. According to police, Tenhusen did not allow the parents in the swimming area during the lessons. I just think that's a faulty requirement. I'm not leaving. Thank you. If I can't be there, my kid don't need to be having lessons with you, period. I just don't like that rule. During the investigation, Tenhusen told police she didn't know how the boy drowned, which that's where the neglect comes in. How do you not know? That means you were not paying attention in a maximum capacity to keep an eye on all of your students. That is where the neglect comes in. Tenhusen claimed that the only thing she can think of in her mind is that while the kids were swimming, he had gotten a little too close to the drop-off, but she doesn't remember that because he was just splashing and she was watching them swim across, according to the documents. At the time, Burke County Sheriff's Office stated that the drowning was an accident, and I do believe it was an accident. It was an accident. And the boy did not die as a result of a criminal offense. That's why I believe it's wrong. She neglected him, and it caused his death. But after consulting with Israel's family and the Burke County Solicitor General's office, D.A. Williams said he believes there needs to be accountability under the law. Why should a child so innocent and so precious leave us so young? How could the law be so insufficient, placing no safeguards over the very people who are entrusted as lifeguards over our children, he said in a press release. Israel's dad, by the name of Walter Scott, applauded the DA's decision in a statement to WFXG. Anytime you leave a child under the care of someone else and you don't get that child back in the same way that you sent them off, then that person ultimately is responsible to whatever extent it may be. I 100% agree. In an effort to turn their tragedy into something positive, the Scott family has established a foundation in Israel's name, which I think that's very commendable. Our goal is to help raise awareness and change laws that will protect children against instructor-led drownings and more, reads a GoFundMe launched by Naomi Jones. I think I can pull that GoFundMe up for y'all also. We are determined that our sweet Izzy's death will not be in vain. Now, Tenhusen, the lady on the right-hand side who lives in North Carolina, was expected to return to Georgia to face the charge. It is not immediately clear if she has retained an attorney who could speak on her behalf. Let me get this GoFundMe up for you guys, and this GoFundMe was put up as of Does it say when? Yes, last year. So let me get this up here so you guys can see it. Matter of fact, I'll just put up a screenshot. Save. 1, 2. Give me a second here. Let me get this pulled up for you guys. Here's the GoFundMe. They were putting this towards the Izzy Spencer Scott Foundation. So it's a foundation to raise awareness, and I'm assuming probably for other kids also for their benefit. So they're asking for $50,000, and in just under a year, so about 8-9 months, they've raised $19,000. I think that's very commendable. So if they reach their goal, I think that'll be awesome. I'm not against GoFundMe, nor have I ever been. But I think that'd be a good reason to have a GoFundMe to put up as a foundation for the memory of your son. Let me go ahead and give you guys the fair usage. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I'm okay with certain rules, but I don't understand why they would be like, you can't be back here while we're giving lessons. Like, why not? There's really no good reason not to have parents back there supervising you while you supposed to be watching the kids. It just doesn't make any sense. But nonetheless, if you guys are watching this video, hit that thumbs up. This is actually an update to our original story, but I also encourage you to go back and listen to what I initially said. This is now coming to pass where they got the correct charges, and people need to take race out of this equation, period. I'm going to try to skim through these videos a little bit. Here we go.
A mother sends her son to swim class and the unthinkable happens.
I lost it. I felt like I was in a dream.
She says the swim instructor was not paying attention and now her son is dead. What went wrong and what she wants all parents to know this summer. I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates.
They would skip some of this music.
Dory Scott says that her 4-year-old son, Israel Izzy Scott, loved being in the water, especially on family vacations. So she signed him up for a week-long swim program.
Tears in her eyes
will forever haunt Dory Scott and her husband, Walt. On Monday, June 13th, Dory wrote, quote, "My big boy's first day of swim lessons. He said he's a little nervous."
So I went there and, I got ready to sit down or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, parents aren't allowed. This is the 4 and up class."
She says she followed Lexi's rules. And on day 2 of classes, as she was waiting outside in her car,
a lady comes and she knocks on my window. I'm sitting in the car and she's like, "Come get your baby." And when she said that, she said it kind of rude. Then I looked at her face and I just saw tears in her eyes. And so initially, I knew something was wrong and I just started screaming.
She says she rushed to the pool.
When I walked in that fence and saw my baby laying on the side of the pool and I saw some lady doing CPR on him, I lost it. I heard someone behind me say, "He got to the deep end." And I said, "He got to the deep end? What do you mean he got to the deep end?"
She says Izzy was not moving or coughing. He was rushed to the hospital.
They had already told us it wasn't looking so good because his eyes was dilated. And when they did the CAT scan, he had brain damage already. So he was under the water for quite some time.
Izzy was pronounced dead the next day.
You haven't had any communication with Lexi? I mean, have you talked to her or spoken to her since that moment where you found him?
My understanding is she wanted to reach out to us, but she had been advised by the sheriff department that it probably wasn't a great idea.
11 days after the incident, on June 26th, the Scotts say they got a card in the mail from Lexi.
Well, she sent refund and she sent this card and it says, "He is near to the brokenhearted. Walt and Dory, my heart breaks with you. Know that we're praying daily for God to wrap his loving arms around you and give you comfort and peace.
What is your response to that card?
I just feel like she should have reached out before, because I just know if I was in that situation, I would be devastated. I don't care who told me not to reach out. It's a child involved. I'm going to reach out and apologize.
They receive a refund via Venmo for the cost of the courses. It's really atrocious behavior. I don't know if she has received counsel, or if this is her way of shielding herself from liability. But that should not be her top concern right now, particularly when reaching out to this family.
Famed defense attorney Lee Merritt has taken over this case and says that the Burke County Sheriff's Office has failed to provide details about this case and has failed to provide a full police report on this matter thus far. Now, we did also try to reach out to Lexi herself. We tried to reach out both on Facebook and on Instagram. Her personal and business Facebook pages are both removed, and her Instagram page is private.
Family of 4-year-old Izzy Scott is still fighting for change 2 months after he drowned during a private swim lesson. News Channel 6's Darenisa Jefferson has more on how the family is now pushing for laws to help prevent a similar tragedy from happening to anyone else.
Say, I am loved.
I am loved.
Say, I am amazing.
I am amazing.
Say, I am wonderful.
For Dory Scott, every day without the smile and laughter of her 4-year-old son Izzy is tough.
It's an unimaginable pain, like that me and my family deal with every day.
The 4-year-old drowned earlier this summer during a private swim lesson in Burke County, a tragedy Scott could have never imagined.
No one should lose their child sending them to swim lessons, you know?
The GBI in Thompson is now investigating the case. Georgia laws currently don't address swim lessons in private pools, though there are regulations for schools and daycares. Scott says she wants to see that change.
I just feel like it could have been prevented had there been more laws in place, and I feel like if we get laws in place, it could help save other kids' lives.
Scott says her push for change also led her to start the Israel Scott Foundation to bring awareness and help prevent swim instructor-led drownings. Saturday, a benefit concert at Macedonia Church of Grovetown will help raise funds to start the foundation.
It's about making everybody aware and making the whole community a part of fixing things in the community.
Black Panther forever.
Scott says the Black Panther was Izzy's favorite superhero, and now the foundation will give Izzy a chance to become a hero himself.
Superheroes, what do? They help save lives. So I want them to remember him as a superhero. He's going to help save lives.
In Augusta, Darenisa Jefferson, WJBF, News Channel 6.
We're watching the Isaiah Factor.
Initially declined to charge the instructor last summer. According to a press release, there was a lack of evidence. Today, I spoke with Izzy's mother, Dory Scott. She says she's still unsure about exactly what happened to her.
I think you guys kind of understand the majority of this, so I don't need to play through the full news video on that one because they kind of reshare certain details. But I want to send again my sincerest thoughts and prayers with the family. I couldn't imagine that, and I got caught up all over again just thinking about if that were my child, if I were going through that, and I just would not want to be in their place and have to deal with that, to lose your baby. And then I even thought about, this whole deal with private lessons, and you guys can see that she has an older child there. And I think that the older child had already been through those swim lessons, so it made sense that she would use that same person that might have taught her other kid to swim. Like, that makes perfect sense. Like, it's tragic all the way around. I don't think the lady did it on purpose, but it was still neglectful, and it caused the death of a baby, and there has to be accountability, period. To respect that baby as a human, to respect him and what he could have grown up and became something great. The fact that there was a life lost and that there was something done wrong, there has to be a standard for accountability. And I'm glad that the state prosecutor finally did the right thing, at least to charge her, but she needs to get a conviction as well. There needs to be a conviction of this neglect in this case. And then from there, we can start really the healing process. But thank you guys so much for listening to the story. This was an update, but let me know what you guys think. If you think something different, post it in the comments and let me know, okay? Thank you.